So overall, I think I mostly enjoyed this episode, but it is setting up a lot for next episode as we already have 2 Ronnies and Conrads, and now we're getting Omega and potentially Susan. Similar to The Legend of Ruby Sunday last year, this episode mostly exists to set up the final episode. However, I just don't think this feels as exciting of a build-up as that episode was, as there's not much of an escalation or anticipation in this episode as there was with the build-up to Sutekh last year, even if Empire of Death wasn't the best resolution to that, especially given that we don't see Omega at the end of this episode like we did with Sutekh at the end of The Legend of Ruby Sunday. With that being said, although this episode is mostly build-up, similar to The Legend of Ruby Sunday, this episode actually does stand a lot better on its own when compared to that episode, as that episode was purely set up for the Empire of Death with not a lot actually happening on its own in the episode, whereas this episode actually does something interesting with the whole alternate reality of Conrad's wish world, the social commentary on traditional 1950s values, and those who are forgotten in society, along with its 1984 similarities. But like I said, it's setting up a lot for the final episode, especially with bringing Omega back, so I'm cautious as to how well they are going to pay this off, especially after Empire of Death last year. But with that being said, the reality war is going to be a bit of a longer episode at over an hour long, so there's a chance that they are able to wrap it up without it feeling rushed. However, that extra time could just be for a surprise open-ended regeneration for the 15th Doctor. But let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments down below.